Yoga in its essence is the movement of the body, mind, emotions, and spirit into total focus and the living of life fully. So it has been misunderstood as being something where you run away to caves and you go away and you do meditation or you do some sort of asana or posture as being yoga. Yoga has almost nothing to do with the physical practices. We still do them.
Right.
But it's like saying brushing my teeth is living my life. No, you still brush your teeth, but that's not living your life. So yoga is the vaster purpose of our existence, because the true word yoga comes from the Sanskrit yuj, which means to unite, come together.
And it is an honor and privilege to be joined by Aadil Palkhivala, who is a world-renowned yoga instructor, yoga master, and he has over 50 years of yoga expertise. Is the co-owner of Alive and Shine Center with his wife Savitri, who is the creator and teacher of Heartful Meditation. And they are also the co-founders of Purna Yoga. And I actually happen to know Aadil and his wife personally. My wife and I have been students of theirs for, I know my wife Jude's been a student of Aadil's for over 10 years. And we're very fond of them. They actually married us in 2013 on the beautiful island of Maui. So welcome Aadil.
Thank you for your welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to have you share about yoga, because I know that you are so passionate about it, and it's been such a part of your life for so long. When did you begin yoga?
Actually, in the womb.
Yes.
Because my mother was practicing to conceive, and she was practicing with the great BKS Iyengar, and she started in 1956. And actually, she teaches even today at the age of 91. And after this COVID thing, she's now teaching online. Wow. So she's doing Zoom classes. It's wonderful.
That is absolutely amazing. So this was in India that you grew up?
Yes, I grew up in Bombay, in India.
And your teacher was the great BKS Iyengar?
Indeed, yes.
And when did you begin teaching?
I began teaching in high school at about the age of 15, when our principal approached me and said, we need somebody to teach yoga. So could you teach? So that's when I went to my teacher, BKS Iyengar, because that's what we do in India. We have great respect for the lineage. Mm-hmm. And I asked his permission to teach, and he said, yes, go teach. And so I got the permission, and I started teaching when I was about 15.
And how did you end up you're based out of Bellevue, Washington, which is outside of Seattle. How did you end up there, and when?
We moved up here after I finished law school in California. Moved up here because we really liked this area very much. The crime rates were almost non-existent in those days. This was in 1986. And it was beautiful. There were rivers everywhere, mountains everywhere. Just a beautiful part of the country.
Yes, it is. It is. I'd like to read a quote from your book, Fire of Love. It's beautifully worded. And this is in the preface of the book. True yoga is not about the shape of your body, but the shape of your life. Yoga is not to be performed. Yoga is to be lived. Yoga doesn't care about what you have been. Yoga cares about the person you are becoming. Yoga is designed for a vast and profound purpose, and for it to be truly called yoga, its essence must be embodied. So beautifully worded, Aadil.
Thank you.
How would you explain or describe yoga to someone who doesn't know much about yoga?
Yoga in its essence is the movement of the body, mind, emotions, and spirit into total focus and the living of life fully. So it has been misunderstood as being something where you run away to caves and you go away and you do meditation, or you do some sort of asana or posture as being yoga. And yoga has almost nothing to do with the physical practices. We still do them.
Right.
But it's like saying brushing my teeth is living my life. No, you still brush your teeth, but that's not living your life. So yoga is the vaster purpose of our existence, because the true word yoga comes from the Sanskrit yuj, which means to unite, come together, to amalgamate, to be one. And what are you one with? You're one with all parts of yourself. So when my mind, my body, my feelings, my spirit, all that is totally present in the moment, then I'm living yoga. So we are living yoga as we are living life. Most people think of yoga as an escape. Actually, yoga is the living of life.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What are the overall benefits of yoga? And then we can talk specifically about benefits for men, but overall for both men and women, what are the benefits of yoga?
The benefits of yoga are too vast
to
talk about in such a short time.
Mm-hmm.
But in brief, it is having a focused and calm mind. It is having a healthy body. It is having the emotions under control. It is having respect for other people, respect for yourself, respect for the earth around you. It is living a life such that you feel good, you feel happy, and circumstances do not take you off your center. So, of course, we all feel stress, but the yoga student knows how to deal with it, so that my stress will not make me rude to somebody else. My stress will not make me angry. It's having control over your mind, your body, and your senses.
Wonderful. One of the things I noticed, Aadil, and I don't know if you've witnessed this in your teaching over the years, a lot of the times I would go to yoga class, I'd be the only man in the class. And I thought that was rather strange, because men, I feel, need it just as much as women do, or even more. Do you find that there's more women in the classes that you teach and that your students teach, your yoga teachers in your center? Well, it's online now, but do you feel that it's mostly women?
Actually, yes. For most classes, it's mostly women. In my classes, there's a much higher percentage of men than in other classes, but in most classes, it is women. I think it's because of a misconception that yoga has something to do with flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
It does not. Mm-hmm. And traditionally, most of the yoga teachers in India are men.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is definitely designed for both sexes, and men can benefit dramatically, especially from the yoga we teach, which is an authentic lineage, very rare to find in our modern world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Purna Yoga because it encompasses all things. It encompasses everything from nutrition, how to eat food, the Sunrider foods. It includes the Heartful Meditation, because we have to take care of our minds. It includes the aspects of life which allow you to live it more abundantly, more freely, and more joyfully.
If a man was watching this interview and he wanted to seek out a teacher to start yoga, what would you recommend that he do? I know for me, I would be seeking out a Purna Yoga teacher, but I know that there's not Purna Yoga teachers throughout every state in this country. So what would you recommend that a man does to find a good teacher?
Well, now everything has gone online. So it's wonderful. You can access our center. You can go to Alive and Shine Center, aliveandshinecenter.com, and there you can get teachings for any type of person. But if you're looking specifically for a physical location, maybe after this pandemic is over, look for Purna Yoga in your region. And if there is none, you go to purnayoga.com, and there you find a list of all the teachers. If there is none, then go to the next best thing, which is Iyengar Yoga. Iyengar Yoga is based on alignment. I learned all my physical alignments from the great BKS Iyengar himself for more than 4 decades. So alignment is wonderful in the Iyengar system. It's not Purna Yoga, but it gives you enough that you can have some therapeutic benefit, and you feel healthier, you feel clearer, you feel stronger.
Are there specific poses or postures do you feel that would benefit men? I mean, I teach a men's yoga class, and I find that men are particularly tight through the hips and the shoulders. Is that something that you've seen yourself in the men that you've taught?
Yeah, men vary widely depending on what they have done in their life and the country in which they live. Japanese men have very different hips from Indian men, who have very different hips from American men. So the more Western the culture, the more likely, though not always, the more likely to be stiffer in the body. They spend more time in chairs rather than sitting on the floor. Many of our meals were done sitting on the floor. When we have conversations with our teachers, and when we are doing usually group events, people sit on the floor in India, not in chairs. So the hips are much more mobile, the knees are more mobile, the ankles are more mobile. So depending on the culture and the way you've been brought up, the body can be wildly stiff to wildly supple. But in our culture, in the Western world, I do find that there is a huge amount of stiffness in the groin area, hamstrings. So especially for men, doing poses like Supta Pada Angushthasana, very, very important because of 2 reasons. Number one, it opens up the hamstrings, it opens up the calf muscles, it helps realign the sacroiliac joint. But number 2, it helps with men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when they start getting prostate issues. It helps regulate the energy in the lower pelvis, as does Baddha Konasana. Baddha Konasana, which is called cobbler's pose, where the feet are together and the knees are dropped sideways. That increases the blood flow and the mobility in the base of the belly and the groins. So it's used, again, for prostate problems. In fact, there is one profession that I know of, and I've done a little bit of study on it, one profession that has practically 0 prostate or urinary problems. And that profession is the Indian cobbler. C-O-B-B-L-E-R, the Indian cobbler. The cobbler in India, if you go onto the street and you see the cobbler, he's sitting there in that position, sitting erect, feet together, knees dropped to the side, with the anvil in front of him and cobbling. And because he sits like that all day, there's so much movement, mobility, circulation in the lower groin area that they just don't have any prostate problems.
Click the link in the description to receive your free ultimate guide for men over 45, Unlocking the 10 Secrets to a Fulfilling Life.
Amazing. And I just wanted to say that Jude is going to actually take me through those poses that you're talking about, so we can demonstrate to men the poses that you're talking about that will be helpful for hamstring opening, for their prostrate health. So we will be adding that to our social media platform.
I'm so glad, because Supta Padangushthasana has been used by me for helping so many men with prostate problems. It's almost like magic.
Yeah.
And then, as you suggested, the shoulders, Ed, Yeah, we've got Garudasana, Gomukhasana, we've got back bends, we've got Parvatasana, we've got all these poses to mobilize the shoulders. And in Purna Yoga, we have additional things also. We have our shoulder circles, we have our neck tilt, rotation, and extension flexion. We have all these different things that we do in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you do it, it's how you do it.
Right.
It's like meditation. People say, I've been meditating for 50 years. But what have you been doing in that meditation? You sit quiet, shut your eyes, and imagine a blank mind. That's not meditation. Yeah.
That's a great segue, because I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Heartful Meditation Savitri has created and teaches. Can you tell us a little bit more about Heartful Meditation?
Of course. So Savitri received these gifts of her meditations in her quest for answers, very, very big answers. Why did her parents die in an air crash? Why was sister murdered? Why did so many of her colleagues and friends commit suicide? I mean, big, big issues. Why did she lose her whole family? Why is there so much pain and suffering in the world? And in that process, she received the answers and developed with the masters techniques. And this is what separates Heartful Meditation from the hoi polloi of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about sitting, shutting your eyes, and trying to make your mind blank, trying to go to the space between thoughts. It's not about that. It's about actually moving the energies of your body, learning how to do it accurately, precisely, knowing where to go in your body. Where does the spirit live? Where does your power reside? How can you use it without ego, with wisdom? All these methodologies are the salient features of Heartful Meditation. And that's why I love it so much, because we meditated in our home in India since I can remember, since I was 9 or 10 years old. And we did it, we sat still and we breathed and we focused on an image. We had a candle, but it was just doing that. It was not actually transforming our shadow. It was not taking the stuff that is holding me back in my life, releasing that to move forward. It was not understanding where my power resides and how to access it. These are the amazing techniques. We've got hundreds of techniques in Heartful Meditation and a few salient ones.
You were demonstrating a little bit of the mental centering technique. And I was explaining this to the men in my yoga class before this whole pandemic. They used to have to put instruments on the head and the skull itself to measure the activity of the brain. But now, and this kind of validates the mental centering technique, now they have an instrument that actually measures the activity of the brain that lies outside, above the skull. So it just tells you that the energy of the brain is much wider and much greater than just our skull. It's outside of ourselves. And so that technique is just gathering that energy and bringing it down to the heart center.
Absolutely. The brain is an electromagnetic organ. It is firing constantly. And anytime there is electricity, there is magnetism. Anytime there is electricity or magnetism, there is an emanation. That's why we have current in our homes. It's massive coils that are spinning and creating a magnetic field, which is converted back to an electric field. So the electroencephalogram, or the EEG, measures this field that comes out of our brain. And now we can do an EEG, just as you said, from about a foot away from your head. So the field, the electroencephalic field, is going out. And with our intention, with our breath, and with our physical body, we learn through Heartful Meditation the exact methodology for gathering this chaotic field and making it collimated or unified. And that's Savitri's genius.
Yes, yes. You had mentioned that part of Purna Yoga is also nutrition. What do you promote in Purna Yoga for nutrition? You mentioned Sunrider. What is Sunrider?
Before we go into Sunrider, we promote healthy eating.
Okay.
We promote eating that which will not cause toxic residue in the body. We promote eating that which builds your body and causes regeneration. So we avoid all chemicals. We avoid pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, molicides. We stay away from those chemicals because the chemicals harm the body. We also stay away from an excess caffeine or alcohol or tobacco or refined sugar. These things actually cause an acid ash and cause degeneration, leading to most of the diseases in our world today. So in our quest for finding the most usable and the highest quality products, we eat all organic and we eat Sunrider foods. So Sunrider for us has been a lifesaver. We've been eating the foods now for more than 3 decades. That's 30 years. And these formulae I have found are the most convenient to use in our day-to-day life. So I just go to my kitchen, I pour in this powder into a glass of water and stir it up and drink it. And it nourishes my whole body. It's like the ultimate fast food. Why? Because it's made according to formulae that have stood the test of time. For thousands of years, these formulae have been used for the emperors and for really high quality people. And now they're available for all of us. So we can elevate our own energy to that level of extreme mental focus, physical wellness, health. It's wonderful to have these formulae.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can also attest to that. Jude and I have been using Sunrider products for over 10 years. And in fact, that's what I'm drinking now is my Fortune Delight with a little quinary mixed in every day. You know, we've incorporated it into by replacing things in our home and in what we eat with Sunrider products. We're using over 50 of their products, the highest quality concentrated herbal foods and beverages and products on the planet. So, and it's because of you that we were introduced to Sunrider and to Purna Yoga. So we Jude and I owe you a debt of gratitude for changing our lives. And again, I appreciate you taking time to have this interview with me to talk more about yoga and to help men to find yoga, to learn more about yoga. And can you repeat how men would be able to find a Purna Yoga teacher or even take classes from a Purna Yoga teacher through your online classes?
Of course. Before I go there, Ed, I'd like to say that I did not mention the spine. In yoga, there's a huge importance on the spine in the asana part of yoga. That's the physical practice. We believe in yoga that you are as healthy as your spine. So in the practice of Purna Yoga, we try to make the spine as youthful as possible, learning to make it mobile, learning to make the fluids inside the spine, the central nervous system, as well as the muscles outside the spine, mobile, so that you feel more erect, more alive. So the spine is another important part of it. And then to answer your question, I think the best thing is to go to aliveandshinecenter.com. Alive as in alive, and shine, S-H-I-N-E, center, C-E-N-T-E-R.com. And there, of course, We have memberships, we have ongoing classes, we have unlimited classes, all these options for men and for women. And you'll feel that when you do a practice, and again, it was really difficult to do this sort of practice every day when we did not have an online presence, because you had to physically get dressed, get into the car, drive to the center, do the practice, re-get dressed, get back home or to the office, and then come in. Now it's done on your computer. Have a flat space behind you, a sticky mat if you have one, and follow along, and you can do a class every day. This is an amazing opportunity for all men to get really healthy. But you do have to pay attention because there is no teacher looking at you.
Mm.
So you do have to listen to the instructions carefully.
Mm-hmm. And we'll make sure that we add the link to the Live and Shine Center also, so people can click on that. Very easy. They can also follow Self-Care for Men on YouTube by clicking the tab below, and also on our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn social media platforms. Again, thank you, Aadil. Appreciate it. And remember, now is the time to improve your health and well-being and transform your life.